In this episode, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite story tropes. It might be a little bit of a spoiler in this because I'm going to be talking about the movie From Dusk Till Dawn. We'll get to that right after the intro. Welcome back to the DL Jones Books channel. I'm your host, DL Jones. And on this channel, I talk about all types of story-related topics when it comes to any type of story medium, video games, movies, TV shows, books, audiobooks, anything that has a story may end up being a topic for this particular channel. Today's episode, I want to talk about something, an experience I had years and years ago. Years ago, I was having a conversation with a friend and I mentioned, why aren't there any movie theaters that sell food? And I'm talking about like real food, like you can go and get a burger or something like that, not just movie food like popcorn and candy and stuff like that. But I'm talking about where you can just go and order just food, order a meal, order a salad or something like that. Which of course, nowadays, there's plenty of movie theaters like that. A lot of movie theaters have incorporated full menus and stuff where you can go and basically have lunch or dinner while you watch a movie. But at the time that I had this conversation, this thing wasn't common. It didn't exist. This friend surprised me one day. She was like, I want to take you somewhere. Come with me. I got a surprise for you. So we ended up going. She don't tell me where we're going. We driving and driving and driving. So we get to this place. And what it ended up being was a movie theater that had just opened not too long ago. It was open when I had this conversation with her, but it had just opened not too long ago. And it was basically, I'm not sure the actual name, but I remember it as Cinema Cafe. I don't know if that was the actual name of the movie, but basically it's what I was talking about. It was a movie theater. You order, they had a real menu and you order real entrees and meals and stuff, and not just like your typical movie snack. And they had drinks and all of that kind of stuff, and you can eat your food while you watch the movie. That was really the point of that particular surprise. But the other surprise was the movie that we went and watched. The movie that we watched was From Dusk Till Dawn. Now, before I get into my experience with From Dusk Till Dawn, first I want to say that if you have never seen From Dusk Till Dawn, I really envy you, because that is the best way to watch that movie, is not knowing anything about it. I mean, it came out in the 90s, so I'm pretty sure most of you have seen it. And if you haven't seen it, you probably have heard of it and know what the story is about. But if you've never seen it, I would say right now, pause this video, go find out where it's streaming and watch it, and then come back and finish watching this video. Now, From Dusk Till Dawn was written by Quentin Tarantino, directed by Robert Rodriguez. It was really my first experience with Tarantino. For a long time, even after watching this movie, I was thinking that he directed this movie, and it wasn't until later when I really looked into it, I found out that Robert Rodriguez is the one that directed it. It was like a joint thing between the two. This was my first experience with Quentin Tarantino, and this was the experience that kind of made me a Tarantino fan, and it caused me to go out and start looking up other things he had done at that time. But this was my first experience. And I'm going to get into how things went for me. Now, when I watched this movie, when the movie came on, I had no idea what this movie was about. I had never heard of it before. At the time, I didn't know who Quentin Tarantino or Robert Rodriguez was. Of course, the two stars of the movie the one main star of the movie was George Clooney, and I knew who he was. But I didn't, and Quentin Tarantino was the second star of the movie. I didn't know who he was. A lot of this going into this movie, I had no idea what I was in for. I didn't know what the movie was about. All I know is I look at the poster and I see the two main characters. They look like some kind of mobsters or whatever. I don't know. I had no idea. I thought, I figured it was like some kind of crime drama or some kind of crime action movie or something like that. It kind of put me in the mind of bank heist or something, and like the two people who robbed the bank were trying to get away or something like that. And I was kind of close in my thought on that part of it. The movie started and we have the Gecko brothers, which is played by George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino. They're the two brothers. They're the two main characters of the movie. And they're your typical gangster type, mobster type characters, with George Clooney being like his character being like the one, like the brains. He's the one that got everything planned out. He's the one that's kind of leading everything. And then you had Quentin Tarantino's character, which is he was like a psychopath. He was like the loose cannon. He was the one that Clooney's characters had to always make sure he keep in check, because Tarantino's character was, you know, just always off. He was unpredictable. You never knew what he was going to do. Not only was he like a psychopath or something like that, but his character also was sort of like a sexual predator, which comes into play as the story goes along. Well, anyway, the movie starts. They had just robbed a bank. The robbery, I guess, went bad or something, and a couple of police officers were killed in that robbery, and they get away from the bank heist, but now they're on the run. And their goal is they need to get out of the U.S. They need to get to Mexico. They have a contact in Mexico that they got to meet. He's at some bar waiting for them and is supposed to set them up with a place where they can hide out and, you know, keep from getting arrested. You know, the whole movie, the first part of the movie, you have the two brothers. They're going through different things. They stop to get gas, and the police are recognizing them, and they're trying to manage, you know, their way through their travels, going to different things, trying not to be recognized by the police, all on the news. So everything they do, they got to be really careful about. At the same time, Tarantino's character is, you know, a loose cannon. He's always doing something, and Clooney's character have to always, you know, either fix whatever mess that Tarantino's character did or keep him from causing any more problems than they already have. So there's a point where they decide they gonna steal this camper. They see they're at a hotel, a motel or something like that, and they see a camper. They decide they're gonna steal this camper. But the camper has a family, you know, inside, which this family is a father, a son, and a daughter, which the father was played by Harvey Keitel. The daughter by Juliette Lewis, which, you know, as you can see by the picture I'm showing up here, this was like a younger Juliette Lewis and a younger Harvey Keitel. They kind of kidnap this family and like hold them hostage because it's a good cover. You know, they traveling in a camper with the family, look like they're going on a family trip to Mexico. Family, you know, they tell the family that if they make it to Mexico, Clooney's character give them his word that, you know, they'll be safe. He'll just let them know they just need their camper and need them to travel along with them to make sure that they can get there and not draw too much suspicion by, you know, cops and other people that's looking for the Gecko brothers. So they start on their travels, and there's more problems. There's more things that gets added into the storyline. The family itself that they are holding hostage, they have issues. Harvey Keitel's character, he's like a pastor or a priest, but I think he's like dealing with some internal struggles that he has himself. And then, you know, he's dealing with the son and daughter, just trying to, it's like they got their own little issues that they're dealing with. And then on top of that, Tarantino's character starts paying a lot of attention to the daughter, which Clooney's character notices, and he has to make sure that he keep Tarantino's character straight because he knows how he is with he being a sexual predator and all of that stuff, and he see that he has an eye for the daughter, so he's like, you can't mess this up. She's off limits, but it's like you have all of this going on, and then they're trying to go, and then you have a lot of tension because there's a lot of situations where they are like, at one point they have to go through the border and have to get through the customs, the border agents and all of that kind of stuff without getting caught. But so there's lots of tension and stuff that happens along that travel. And the whole time you're watching this, you're looking at all of this and you're just watching. You're like, oh, will they escape? Will they get to their destination? Will they get caught? How will this turn out? That's what you're thinking, and that's what you feel like the movie is about. The movie is about trying to follow the two Gecko brothers to see if they're actually going to get to Mexico and be safe from the police, get away from the police, and get away with the bank heist that they did, just before the movie started, the whole thing that was causing them to try to flee to Mexico anyway. I want to take this time here to ask you to make sure you subscribe to the channel by clicking the like button and the subscribe button below if you like to hear more content about story-related topics. And make sure you click the bell also so you get notified when new videos are posted. Finally, they get to Mexico. It's about an hour into the movie. They get to Mexico. They get to the bar that they are trying to get to. And it's like a really colorful bar. The tone of the movie kind of changes a little bit. It turns from being so dreary and dark and serious to like, you got the bar with a lot of lights, and they introduce another character, Cheech Marin. He's up front and he's doing like an introduction to the bar, trying to get people hyped up to go into the bar. And they go into the bar, the family and the Gecko brothers. They go into the bar, they have a seat, and then more characters are introduced. You have Selma Hayek. She ends up doing a really good performance. She's one of the dancers, one of the performers that's on the stage, because inside the bar they have, where you can order food, they have live entertainment, all of this kind of stuff, and there's tons of people in there. They introduce more characters like Fred Williamson. He's one of my favorite blaxploitation actors from old school blaxploitation movies. He's been in movies. Some of my favorites are Black Caesar, Hell Up in Harlem, Bucktown, and he did a whole bunch of movies back then. And this was the first time I had seen him at the time was a modern day movie. And it's just, all of these characters, they're interacting with each other. There's still a little tension because Tarantino's character is still kind of like, you got to still keep an eye on him because you never know when he's going to do something that's going to screw everything up. While all of this is going on, they're waiting for the friend to show up so that they can move on to whatever their next step is going to be. I'm thinking, there's going to be more tension and there's going to be more drama. Then everything changes. The MC, I can't remember if it was Cheech Marin or someone else, comes out on the stage and they introduce Selma Hayek character. Selma Hayek comes out and she's dancing. She's doing like a really seductive dance, and there's some music playing, and music that when I hear that kind of music, it just reminds me of Tarantino movies nowadays. She starts performing and everything, and everybody's watching, and the whole movie kind of like slows down and focuses on her performance. At the end of her performance, the thing happens that I had no idea was ready to come. All of a sudden, all of the bartenders, all of the performers on the stage, everybody that worked in this bar, they all turn into vampires and starts attacking all of the patrons of that bar. And I was like, what? I had no idea that was coming. I'm thinking this is just a regular crime thriller, like a realistic type, modern day crime thriller. And all of a sudden it turns into a vampire movie. Now, all of these characters, the Gecko brothers, the family, and all of the new people that they met while they were at the bar, now they're all at this big war with tons of vampires. It starts off with a big war, and a lot of the patrons got killed, and some of them got killed. Some of them also turned into vampires. The whole rest of the movie, about a good 30 or 40 minutes left in this movie, just turned into a movie about the Gecko brothers and the family that they had, was holding hostage, them trying to survive till the morning. That bar was like a setup. They have this bar and they promote women, girls, drinks, and all of this kind of stuff. And they get the bar to fill up with people. And then it's like a trap. They feed on the people that fills up in the bar. They figure this out after everything is going on. And the whole rest of the movie is them trying to survive. Them trying to survive, them trying to keep from getting killed, keep from getting turned into a vampire themselves, and survive till the morning because, when the sun comes out, the vampires will all go away and all this kind of stuff. So without going into too many spoilers, what I've said so far is already probably the main spoiler. That's why I was like, you should watch this movie without knowing anything about it. That's the best way I feel to watch this movie. But it comes to my favorite story trope, one of my favorite story tropes. And I wouldn't necessarily call this a plot twist. A plot twist to me usually have a story going along, and then at the end, something happens that, while was in your face all along, it is revealed that thing, what you were seeing, is different than what you thought you were seeing throughout the whole movie. You have like a lot of movies, like biggest one I could think of is The Sixth Sense. So that was From Dusk Till Dawn. One of my favorites. I would call it more of a pivot because the movie doesn't kind of lead you on a certain path and then change something at the end. That like it doesn't make you believe that like one character is one way, then at the end he's another way. What the movie kind of does is just it almost changes genre. It changed from like a crime thriller to like a horror movie, to a vampire flick, like midway through the movie. So it's not really a plot twist. I really consider it more of a pivot. And it really captured me. It's one of those movies where I always remember that experience. You hardly ever get experiences like that. It's hard to go into something that will give you that type of experience without knowing anything ahead of time, especially these days with so much ways to get information. Information is thrown at you from every angle. It's hard to go into something blind like that and just get completely surprised or taken by surprise by a pivot or a plot twist or something like that. But that's From Dusk Till Dawn. Go ahead and check that out. The pivot that they do in that movie is awesome, especially if you've never seen it before. Is great. After you've seen it, I don't know if it'll have the same effect, or if you've already, like, if you've listened to this video first and then went and saw it, then went and watched it, I don't know if it will have the same effect of you just watching it and having no idea that this change in the middle of the movie is about to come. But that's From Dusk Till Dawn. I think it's streaming somewhere. I'm pretty sure it's streaming Netflix or, somewhere. Go ahead and check that out. And that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.